What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. And I have some breaking news report, and it involves Prince Andrew. And Prince Andrew will be Prince Andrew no more. According to Buckingham Palace, Prince Andrew has been stripped of his prince title and will leave his Windsor mansion, Royal Lodge, Buckingham Palace announced on today. The king has, quote, initiated a formal process to remove his titles, it said, and Andrew will now be known as Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. Andrew, 65, the king's younger brother, has continued to face more questions about his private life in recent months. His links to financier Jeffrey Epstein has caused problems for the royal family. The prince, who relinquished his titles earlier this month, has always strongly denied any wrongdoing. Buckingham Palace said His Majesty has today initiated a formal process to remove the style, titles, and honors of Prince Andrew. Prince Andrew will now be known as Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. It also addresses the place where he lives, Royal Lodge. His lease on Royal Lodge has to date provided him with legal protection to continue in residence. Formal notice has now been served to surrender the lease, and he will move to alternative private accommodation. These censures are deemed necessary, notwithstanding the fact that he continues to deny the allegations against him. Their Majesties wish to make clear that their thoughts and their sympathies have been and will remain with the victims and survivors of any forms of abuse. The language of Buckingham Palace's statement was, quote, very brutal, royal historian Kelly Swaby told the BBC. And of course, Prince Andrew, well, now I guess Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, whatever his name is now. But the former Prince Andrew, I guess I'll say that the former Prince Andrew, of course, has long been tied to allegations of sexual abuse, in particular to one Virginia Giuffre. So supposedly, Giuffre stated that as a minor, she was, quote unquote, I believe that if I read it correctly, or remember correctly, she was gifted to Prince Andrew from Jeffrey Epstein. And he allegedly abused her and countless other women. Later on, she sued him. It was just earlier this year that Virginia Giuffre conveniently unalived her. Well, what was it? She attempted to unalive herself. No, I take that back. It was earlier this year she was hit by a bus in Australia. She survived that. And then supposedly she unalived herself. You know, whatever. You know how that goes. You know how we feel about a lot of these unalivings. They're very, very convenient. I'm of this opinion, right? I think the royal family has caught wind of what's going to be coming out soon. If I'm not mistaken, doesn't she supposed to have a book that's coming out posthumously about what she had to deal with, Virginia Giuffre? And there's already was a lot of pressure on the royal family to do something about the former Prince Andrew, right? I think I saw a poll recently where for the first time in history, less than 40% of those in Great Britain approved of the royal family, approved of the monarchy. So their popularity, which hell, during wartime was probably like 80 to 90%. It has dwindled. And a lot of it had to do with the perceived anachronism, the fact that some people feel the royal family is just anachronistic in general, and whenever you're going through economic problems, like many countries are going through at this time, when you see these group of people who just seem totally removed from reality of the world when it comes to economic issues and financial difficulties, that's part of it. And then also a lot of it has to do with Prince Andrew. And a lot of people feel like a lot of other people in the royal family are involved in these shenanigans too, But yeah, I definitely think that this has to do with that book that's coming out. And also, you have to think that eventually, especially if Democrats get control of Congress, they're going to investigate into this Epstein thing, right? Even if it comes at the expense of some Democrats going down. But then again, they're going to play politics too. They're going to pick and choose, the media. They're going to pick and choose who they push for justice, to be brought upon, and who they're going to take it easy on. You know how that works. But I'm getting a sense, man, that the former Prince Andrew might end up being possibly, he might end up being the sacrifice. He might end up being the sacrificial lamb in this whole situation. And like I said, I might be 100% incorrect on that, but I'm getting that sense that they might do that. His name pops up more than any other person other than Trump. And I don't think Trump's going to go down. You know what I mean? And I have to think that if you remove his royal titles away from him, and you move him out of the royal palace or royal grounds, he's still going to be a person of nobility. He's going to still have servants. He's probably going to still be privately, taken care of by his brother, King Charles. But at the same time, I would think with his titles removed, it makes him more susceptible to lawsuits. It makes him much more, and not only that, man, from what I've read about the former Prince Andrew, he's also a racist. He's had a lot of instances where he's said a lot of demeaning and horrible things, racist terminology, and there's also other instances where he's had terrible altercations with women. This is a guy that's been accused of rape multiple times. So he's like, I look at it like this, Saddam Hussein was not a very good person, right? He wasn't a nice person. Uday and what was his name? I think the son's name was Uday and Kuze. I think it was Uday. Uday was absolutely horrible. Uday was a terrible mix of entitlement, privilege, and evil, right? But because of their ethnicity, people didn't have a hard time seeing that in them, and the way that the West covered them and any news media outside of Iraq covered them, that was the way they were portrayed. But with someone like the former Prince Andrew, I think he's similar to that in many ways. He may not act as brutal as Kuze did, but his, as far as in his general behaviors, but behind closed doors, I think he was just as bad. But because he's a member of the Windsor royal family, he gets and was getting a lot of media protection. But I think that, they feel the pressure now. Now, look, does this mean that this is going to end up in a situation where he's going to be behind bars, he's going to be charged? And I doubt it. I seriously doubt it. I would be floored if that happened. So I think this is as close to punishment that this guy's going to get. But anyway, that's all I got to say about it. Tell me what you guys think.